What is the childhood memory that most defines your idea of safety? Think about it for a moment. That feeling of protection, of unconditional belonging. Now ask yourself with honesty, do you recreate that safety in your life today? Or do you spend your entire life feeling its absence? In the next 48 hours, the moon enters its home, the sign of Cancer, and the doors to your emotional past will be gently opened. It is a profound chance to heal, but also a test of emotional courage. This is not an invitation to vague sentimentality, it is a precise astrological event. The moon, the celestial body that governs our inner world, our oldest memories, and our most primal need for belonging, returns to its home. Here, it is at its maximum potency. Its influence is not a whisper. It is a deep call that echoes in the basements of our soul, bringing to the surface feelings, needs, and memories we thought were long buried. What this energy is actually inspecting is the quality of your soul's nest. The nest is your emotional foundation. It is the inner place, and, by extension, the outer one, where you should feel safe, nurtured, and completely free to be who you are. For many of us, for various reasons, this nest is damaged by past experiences, or perhaps it was never truly built. What follows is a guide for this inner journey. We will not just revisit the past for the sake of revisiting it. We will use the potent energy of this moon at its full strength to inspect, cleanse, and strengthen our nest. In the coming sections, we will diagnose the feelings of belonging and neediness that will emerge, analyze the great test of our emotional limits, and finally, give you a practical manual so you can transform your inner home into a true fortress of peace. If you are ready to answer this call, to look with courage at your past, and to reclaim your emotional security, the journey to the center of your nest begins now. When the moon returns to its home in Cancer, the effect is not a mental or logical event, it is a tide, an emotional tide that rises slowly but with an undeniable force, coming from the depths of our inner ocean. Its first manifestation is not generally pain or discomfort, but something much more subtle and seductive, an overwhelming wave of nostalgia. Suddenly, without an apparent trigger, you might find yourself thinking about your childhood. The smell of your grandmother's cooking, the feeling of the sun on your face in the backyard of the house where you grew up, the melody of a lullaby. Old photos seem to call out to you. You feel an almost irresistible urge to watch that old, comforting movie you've seen 100 times, or to call a longtime friend you haven't spoken to in years. Do not fight this. This is not a useless regression or an escape from the present. It is your soul, under the influence of the moon in Cancer, taking an inventory. It is showing you images and sensations of what, once upon a time, meant home, safety, and belonging to you. It is your emotional system establishing a reference point, a baseline, in order to make the diagnosis that follows. The question your soul is asking you through these memories is, do you remember what it feels like to be truly nurtured and safe? Do you still feel that today? This wave of nostalgia, if observed with awareness, will inevitably lead you to perceive the difference between the past and the present. And it is in this perception that the shadow of the moon in Cancer begins to emerge. It is here that longing transforms into neediness. Neediness is the acute pain we feel when the need for safety, for belonging, and for nourishment, the most fundamental need of Cancer, is not being met in our current life. And in the next 48 hours, with the moon at its maximum potency, this feeling can become almost unbearable. It is the neediness that manifests as an almost childlike sensitivity, where a small gesture of indifference from a partner or friend can be felt as a monumental rejection. It is the feeling of a hole in the chest, an emptiness that feels like nothing can fill it. It is the paralyzing fear of loneliness, which can lead us to cling to relationships or situations that we know are not healthy, simply because the alternative of being alone seems even more terrifying. Neediness makes us seek external validation desperately. We post a photo on social media, not to share a moment, but to count the likes and comments as proof that we are loved and seen. We initiate a conversation not to connect, but to test the other person's availability and affection. And this is the first great test of the nest. The energy of Cancer, in its purest form, wants you to find security within yourself. Neediness, its shadow, pushes you to desperately seek it outside. The test is, will you be able to observe this feeling of emptiness without impulsively acting on it? Will you be able to comfort yourself, to give yourself the comfort you long for? Or will you, once again, beg for it from external sources that often will only leave you hungrier? This internal battle is not silent. It echoes in our body. The body does not lie. It is the final compass that tells us the truth about the state of our nest. Under the moon in Cancer, you may feel physically more vulnerable. Your digestive system may become more sensitive, as it is the area that digests emotions. You may feel a deep desire for comfort foods, those that connect you with the emotional memory of childhood. And above all, you will feel an almost primal need for touch and coziness, the desire to be under a blanket, to receive a long, tight hug. The body is, literally, asking to be nested. Pay attention to these signs. They are your guide. If you spend the next few days feeling a warm nostalgia, but also a peace and contentment in your current life, your nest is strong. But if the nostalgia transforms into a pain of neediness, if you feel emotionally reactive and physically vulnerable, your system is giving you a clear diagnosis. There are fissures in the walls of your nest, and the universe, through this powerful moon, is giving you the opportunity and the tools to begin the repair work. If the diagnosis from the previous chapter resonated with you, if you felt the wave of nostalgia and the echo of neediness, then you are ready for the next step. The inspection of your nest is not a mental or analytical process. It is a visceral process felt in the body. The moon in Cancer, at its maximum potency, activates our oldest and most reliable emotional compass, but to use it, we must first learn to calibrate it. Let's do this calibration together now. The tool for this is your sensory memory. I ask that you close your eyes for a moment and bring to mind a memory, any memory, in which you felt 100% safe, welcomed, and unconditionally loved. It could be in childhood, on a grandparent's lap. It could be with a friend, in a moment of deep connection. It could be alone, in a place in nature that is your sanctuary. Do not analyze the memory, just feel it. Feel it in your body. What happens to your breathing? It probably deepens. What happens to your shoulders? They probably relax. Where do you feel the warmth? In your chest? In your stomach? Memorize this physical sensation. Record it in your system. This is your safety signature. It is your body's yes. Now, still with your eyes closed, do the opposite. Bring to mind a memory of an interaction in which you felt emotionally unsafe, judged, or manipulated. Just for an instant, enough to register the feeling. What happens to your body? Does a knot form in your stomach? Does your throat tighten? Do you feel a cold shiver or an urge to shrink? This is your danger signature. It is the unequivocal no of your nervous system. With this compass now calibrated, with the clarity of how your body feels safety and threat, we are ready for the inspection. The first part of the inspection is to identify and honor your true safe harbors. With your compass in hand, begin to think about the closest people in your life. One by one, bring their image to your mind and just feel, without judgment, which of them evokes your safety signature. Who are the people with whom you can be totally yourself, with your flaws and your glories, without fear of being punished or abandoned? With whom do you feel energized and nourished and not drained and exhausted after a conversation? These people are the strong walls of your nest. They offer genuine care, not a conditional care that comes with an invisible price. They celebrate your strength and welcome your weakness. Consciously recognizing and valuing them is the first and most important step to strengthening your emotional foundation. Now, the most difficult, most courageous, and most important part of the inspection. With the same compass, let's look at the dynamics that evoke your danger signature. The moon in Cancer, in its shadow, is the master of emotional manipulation, and it illuminates, with a relentless light, the false nests. Those connections that seem safe and loving on the surface, but that, on an energetic level, are deeply toxic and invasive. Our investigation reveals 3 classic patterns of false nests that this moon will expose. The first is that of guilt blackmail. Observe the people in your life who use phrases like, "After everything I've done for you," or who respond to your boundaries with a wounded sigh. They offer care, but with an invisible price of obligation and emotional debt, ensuring that you never feel free. The second is that of chronic victimhood. Identify those who are perpetually in the role of the victim to keep your attention and your energy. They make you feel constantly responsible for their happiness, draining your life force and keeping you trapped in a rescue cycle that never ends. The third is that of invasive care. Beware of the love that suffocates and controls, the kind that does not respect your boundaries, that wants to know everything, that gives unsolicited advice, and that tries to fix you. That is not care. It is a violation of your nest, an attempt to shape you to the image and the need of the other. The test here is your courage to trust your bodily compass, even when your logical mind tries to make excuses and justifications. But it's my mother, but they have good intentions, but I love them. Your body knows the difference between what nourishes and what poisons, and here is the final proof. Most people, feeling the amplified neediness of this moon, will seek shelter anywhere. They will ignore the signals from their compass and will nest in relationships that diminish them out of a pure fear of being alone. They will choose a false and familiar nest over the apparent vulnerability of having no nest at all. But you, who now have a calibrated compass, have a different choice. The choice to become the conscious guardian of your own gate. The choice to honor your need for safety by refusing to accept anything that is not the real, unconditional, and nurturing security that your soul deserves. Which leads us to the action of how to build and protect this fortress. The inspection is complete. You have calibrated your emotional compass, identified your safe harbors, and exposed the false nests that drain your energy. Now, the true work of a sovereign begins. The construction and fortification of your own inner kingdom. A safe nest is not a gift we receive from the world. It is a conscious creation, an act of deep self-respect. What follows is not a to-do list, but the architectural manual for your inner fortress. Let's build phase by phase. Phase 1. Mapping the safe territory. Before building the walls of a fortress, a good architect studies the terrain. They identify the sources of pure water, the trees that provide shade, the points of natural strength. Your first task, therefore, is to map the safety resources you already have in your life. Often, in moments of neediness, we forget that we are not helpless. Take your notebook. Divide a page into 3 sections: refuge people, sanctuary places, and anchor activities. In the first section, refuge people, list the names of those people who passed the test of your emotional compass in the previous chapter. Those who, when you are with them, your breath deepens and your shoulders relax. Don't worry about the quantity. There may be 1 or 2. What's important is the quality of the energy. Acknowledge who your true allies are, those who nourish your nest, without asking for anything in return. In the second section, sanctuary places, list the physical places where you feel intrinsically safe and at peace. It could be a specific corner of your house with a comfortable armchair. It could be a park near your work, a silent library, the seashore, your car with loud music. These are places where your energy can recharge without the need to constantly be in a state of defense. In the third section, anchor activities, list the activities that bring you back to your center, that anchor you. It could be cooking a specific meal, listening to a type of music, taking a long bath, caring for your plants, writing, drawing, meditating, actions, however simple, that nourish your soul and calm your nervous system. This map you have just created is your emotional first aid kit. It is your action plan for moments of vulnerability. When the neediness of the moon in Cancer strikes, you will not need to think or seek relief in toxic places. You will know exactly where and to whom to run. Phase 2, the edification of the emotional walls. Now that you have mapped what is inside your safe territory, it is time to build the walls to protect that territory. A nest without boundaries is not a sanctuary. It is a public square, open to anyone who wants to enter and cause disorder. Emotional boundaries are the most fundamental act of self-love that the energy of Cancer teaches us to master. Think about the dynamics and the people who triggered your danger signature during the inspection. Choose one of them, the most pressing one, the one that drains your energy the most. Your task now is to build a clear and defined wall. That is, to decree a boundary. The practice consists of writing your gate decree. The formula for the decree is simple and powerful. To protect my peace and my energy, I will no longer behavior you will stop doing. For example, to protect my peace, I will no longer answer calls from person X after 9 p.m. Or, to protect my peace, I will no longer take responsibility for my mother's or my partner's happiness. Or perhaps, to protect my peace, I will no longer say yes to invitations and commitments out of pure obligation or fear of displeasing. Write your decree. Read it out loud. Feel the power of becoming the conscious guardian of your own gate. This decree is not about being aggressive toward the other. It is about being loyal to yourself. It may seem selfish to a mind conditioned to please, but it is the opposite. By protecting your own energy, you will have much more nurturing and genuine energy to offer to those you choose to let into your nest. Phase 3, the decoration of the sanctuary. With the territory mapped and the walls erected, the final phase of construction is to make the interior of your fortress a place where your soul truly wants to dwell. It is the phase of nesting, of care, of transforming your home, both internal and external, into a true sanctuary of beauty, comfort, and safety. The action here is simple, yet profoundly powerful. Choose a single, small action to, in the next 48 hours, make your physical nest safer, more beautiful, and more welcoming. It doesn't need to be a major renovation or an exorbitant expense. The energy of Cancer delights in the small things that bring comfort. It could be buying a new soft blanket you've been wanting for a long time. It could be finally putting up that painting that's been leaning in the corner. It could be making, with full presence and affection, your favorite comfort food. It could be cleaning and organizing just one corner of your room, perhaps your bedside table, transforming it into a small personal altar with a candle, a crystal, or a book. It could be buying a new plant to bring more life into the environment. This physical act anchors all the internal work you have done. It sends a clear and powerful message to your subconscious. I deserve a safe place. I am worthy of comfort. I am my own home. It is the final act that transforms the abstract idea of safety into a lived, felt, and real experience. And so, the inspection is complete and the construction work begins. By mapping your territory, by edifying your boundaries, and by decorating your sanctuary, you have done much more than just a self-care exercise. You have initiated one of the most sacred and powerful processes of the human journey, the conscious construction of your own home. What the energy of the moon in Cancer, at its maximum potency, came to teach us in this passage is that home is not primarily a physical place with four walls and a roof. It is a state of being. It is an energetic frequency that we cultivate within ourselves. True home is the feeling of unshakable safety that exists in your own center, the certainty that no matter how chaotic the external world becomes, no matter where life takes you, you will always have a safe, nurtured, and familiar place to return to. Your own soul. Your house can be taken from you, but your inner home, once built and fortified, is yours forever. By establishing your boundaries and consciously choosing who can and cannot enter your sacred space, you have taken the most important step. You have ceased to be a victim of the emotional tides of others and have become the sovereign guardian of your own gate. This is the mature power of Cancer, often misunderstood. It is not the childish power of building high walls to isolate oneself from the world out of fear. It is the adult power of having a solid gate and a drawbridge, and most importantly, the wisdom to know when to lower the bridge for a genuine and vulnerable connection, and when to raise it to protect yourself from invasion, manipulation, and toxicity. True emotional security, the great treasure that this transit offers us, is not the absence of dangers in the outside world. That is a fantasy. True safety is the unshakable trust in your ability to protect your inner world. It is knowing that your peace is non-negotiable and that you have the tools and, above all, the divine permission to defend it at any cost, even if it displeases others. This feeling of peace, of being nested within yourself, does not have to go away when the moon changes signs. The practices you have learned are yours forever. The map of your safe territory is in your notebook. The decree of your gate is engraved in your mind. The comfort of your sanctuary is in your home. You have built the fortress. Now, your work is to inhabit it. If this journey to the center of your nest has resonated with you, if you feel safer and more sovereign in your own being, anchor this new reality. Like this video, share it with someone you love who needs to strengthen their own nest, and declare the safety of your new fortress in the comments. My nest is safe. And don't forget to subscribe so we can continue to build these inner sanctuaries together, one practice at a time.